I'm just going to share my screen and then we go through the slides. And so let's go right away. And yeah, once again, welcome to the 12th episode of our free AI and digital marketing live demos. Today, we are going to talk about ChatGPT and Claude chatbots. These are the chatbots that most of us use on a daily basis to do our work, for our workflows, for our research, and all that kind of stuff. And thank you very much. I can see, yes, I'm here. I hear you. So thank you very much. Let's go. So ChatGPT and Claude, as I said, our the most of the AI tools that we use for our daily workflows and to get research done and what have you. And so the reason why we are having this is that most of these AI chatbots have kind of a limit. They have a limit as to how much information they can hold. And, remember in our early days when we're doing one of our classes, we talked about prompts and how much you have to put in a prompt, right? You don't have to overload it because when you overload it, the AI sometimes gets confused because of something called, I'm going to go into that, but it's the context. And chatbot, it's always connected to a repo or a database. And so every time you make a query or you type to ask a question, it goes into that repo, it goes into that database to fetch you that information. And sometimes it makes mistakes, sometimes it comes up with things, and sometimes you don't really get what you want. And so for today's demo, we are going to talk about how to reduce all those stuff and also to make sure that you are not losing any of your information. And so for today, I titled this presentation, Stop Re-Explaining Everything to ChatGPT, Upload Once and Ask Forever with Puppy AI. And Puppy AI is an AI tool. It's a wonderful tool that I've been using for the past 8 months or 9 months. I love it because it saves me a lot of time when it comes to researching. And so I'm going to show you how that works. And when I'm talking about ChatGPT, it's going to be our reference tool, right? But because they are the pioneers. But when I talk about ChatGPT chatbot, I'm talking about Claude chatbot. I'm talking about any AI that is connected to a chatbot that you have a normal conversation with. So if you see ChatGPT, I'm just talking about any chatbot that you know. So let's go through without wasting time. So why does this matter, right? Why this matters more than ever is because AI is everywhere. Most people are using it wrong. We treat AI, chatbots just like Google. We go in there, we type whatever we are looking for, and then we move on. It gives us the answer, and then we move on. But there is more to that. We can utilize it better. We can be smarter. We can work smarter than, just typing in information and getting information back. So, what if you let chatbot, you let your AI become your personal assistant? And most of us think that they are our personal assistant. It's just that we are not optimizing the way we use them, right? The old way of doing things is like spending hours, right? Back in the days, we would spend hours and days to do research. Now, with AI in the mix, we use hours, but still, we can, make our workflow better by putting in efficient strategies that will make us spend less time and less time and less time. The whole point is iteration, right? You always want to get better. Like I always challenge myself, I want to be a better version of myself tomorrow, right? And so that's what this world is about. You're always trying to iterate, to improve and get better and better and better. And so the smartest way is to get instant access answers from your knowledge base or your database. The real cost of not having this is that you are wasting 5 hours to 10 hours per week re-uploading and re-explaining to ChatGPT. And you do this all the time. Let's say I have a resume, I have my resume, right? I want to write a cover letter for a specific job. I have to upload this resume. Maybe tomorrow I find another position. I have to upload the same resume and then ask it to do something else. It's like I'm always uploading this information and it's a pain. What if I'm out in town, right? And I'm using ChatGPT on my phone or using Claude on my phone. I don't have my resume on my phone. What am I going to do? Right. So these are some of the things, and you keep on uploading and uploading, and you also lose valuable insight buried in old conversation. And this is how it works, right? When you start having a conversation with your chatbot, it gets to a point where the database or the memory becomes full. Now, when that becomes full, then the old information or the first messages that you typed into the box have gone down. I mean, they've disappeared, kind of. And so now ChatGPT doesn't remember again, right? And sometimes what happens is that the chat the box becomes full and you cannot access information again. And you have built a very good conversation with this tool, with this particular conversation or this chat. And then at some point, it tells you that it's tired, kind of. It's tired or it's full. So you have to open a new chat. That is very painful. And I'm going to show you something like that right now with Claude, right? I was doing something with Claude for over couple of hours. We were having a very good time. We were um, researching, coding, and all that kind of stuff. And then it got to a point where it says that the database is full. So I typed something. Can you give me our code color codes? Let's see. We had a very good conversation, and then at the end of the day, it is telling me that the database is full, so it cannot give me any more answers. And that really made it very complicated because if I have to start a new conversation, that new chat is going to be like starting on a blank page. And like as I was telling you, you saw that, right? You saw that message. It says that is full. So I have to open a new chat by starting a new conversation. When that happens, you've lost all the intel, all the conversation that you were having for, let's say, the past 3 days, right? You're going to lose everything. And then you have to start all over with a new chat, which is really going to be like you have to feed it with more information again before it can really put one and two together to give you the right answers. And when that happens, you waste time. And that is not good. Even though there are some features in here where we can use, but there are still limitations, and we are going to go into that very soon. And so the opportunity here is that you want to build a permanent AI knowledge base, your own database, right? When you have your own database, it access that information directly from your computer, directly from wherever you ask it to pick that information. So that information will become will become a priority than other information. That will be the first point of contact. That is the first place that it's going to search for that information before it even goes outside. And you can give it instructions not to even go outside the web to go and look for information, because what happens is that most of the AI modules that we have, especially if you are using a free version, it's kind of watered down. It's not the smartest module you are using, and because you are not paying, right? So it's not the smartest module you are using. So you're not going to get authentic information. Look, I know the stuff I do all the time. And so when I communicate with Claude or ChatGPT, they make a lot of mistake. They can lie. Oh my gosh, they lie. And sometimes they make me look good and they will say all the good things I want to hear. I'll tell them that no, So you want to make sure that whatever information they are giving to you, you know whether it's true or not. And that's why you have to be careful when you are dealing with this AI, because AI is still not 100% right. It pulls information from a database, from online, and some of that, most often than not, if you are using a free version, it's going to go maybe 3 months or 6 months. The information might be 6 months old. And so if you are doing a very serious research, right, and you are doing something very important, you want to make sure that you are feeding it with your own information. Let's go into that. So overall, you'll be saving about 260 plus hours in a year, which works out to be about 6 hours plus of weeks of work. And so you save a lot of time, and time is money. So if you are saving this amount of time, guess what you can use that time to do? You'll be using it to pursue more business, or to do more schoolwork, or to do more research and all that. And so the problem we all face is that, first of all, if you are dealing with files, you upload a file and then you get an answer and then you ask a question again and the cycle goes. And then after some time, ChatGPT forgets. And then it start asking you silly questions, making silly mistakes, amateur mistakes, lying, making stuff up, coming up with some Google statistics. This is called hallucination. And it's a big problem. It's a big issue. Some companies are getting sued for this. And so you want to make sure that if you are working with any of these tools, you are doing some of these things that we are going to learn today, to make sure that your information going out there is authentic and also clean. Otherwise, you're gonna embarrass yourself, and it's happened to me before. ChatGPT, Claude was quoting some numbers, and then I was in front of a panel, and I was giving this information, and then I realized that it was giving a number which wasn't supposed to be there. And they asked me, where did you get this number? What's the source of this number? And I was there, I got it from my AI tool. And then I came back, I queried my chat but and it was telling me that, oh, I apologize, I'm sorry, but the harm has been done already. And so be careful, especially if you are in a territory where you don't have domain knowledge about what you are doing, and the information that you are going to get sometimes is bogus information. So you want to make sure that you are getting the right information. And one of the best ways to do this is to make sure that you have a paid version, especially if you are working on very important projects, especially if you work with clients, your business clients. You want to make sure that you are not giving them bogus information. Let's move on. So this is what happens under the hood, right? ChatGPT memory is limited by its context window, and that is what I was going to tell you. Determining how much information it can process and recall in a single conversation. So we have short conversation, which are very effective. You ask it a quick question, it gives you an information back, and you can use any of the modules, light models. Medium conversations will fill up, but it will take some time. The kind of conversations I have are very long conversations. Sometimes it's a block of code, maybe about 800 lines of code, 3,000 lines of code. And if I'm putting this information into the chatbot, especially maybe I want to change a color code, I want to change something, or there's an error that I'm trying to debug, I don't know where it is. And so I have to copy the whole block of code into the chatbot. That is a long conversation, and that is going to take a lot of space, right? And so you want to make sure that you don't overload that space for it to process. And that space is just like a bucket, right? And if the bucket is up to, or let's say this cup is up to this level, and you put an information that comes up to that level, then you know that it's going to push everything up there because this is the context window that is supposed to be in there. So that is that. The results, right? Let's say if you upload a PDF 50 times, 50 messages ago, right? That PDF might be lost, might have gone down the drain, right? By the time that you are on the 100th message, that PDF is gone. So now you query ChatGPT about the PDF, the information, and sometimes it might get, residue of that because you've been conversing, but it might not get the true picture because that file has been pushed down the drain, right? Enough. So that is very frustrating. And the breaking point is that the more content you generate, the faster the context window fails. This can happen in rapid, detailed technical discussion, as I was saying. Uh, or a casual chat with lots of back and forth, and it's about volume, not the time. Why is this frustrating? You are having a productive conversation. Suddenly, ChatGPT asks you to re-explain something you already told it 20 minutes ago. That's the context window limit at work, forcing you to constantly re-explain. Claude will tell you to open a new chat. Just as I showed you over here, it's telling me to open a new chat. And that is really frustrating. And I don't even want to start because when I start, then I have to provide it with so much information. And that is like me starting all over again. And there are things like projects that you can use. It gives you more room, but it's still the same. At some point, it's still gonna hit the contest window. And so let's go back and see what we have. The bottom line is ChatGPT is designed for conversations, not as a permanent knowledge base. Once the conversation gets too long, it starts forgetting the beginning to keep up with the present. That is where Puppy AI comes in, and that's the tool that we are going to talk about today. So let's go into, we're not going to get too technical here, but you still have to understand what happens under the hood when we talk about context window, what we are talking about. So, context window, how it affects you and why this happens, right? So look at this, like, it's like a funnel, right? You have the capacity. The capacity is right here. The whole thing is here. The information is kind of stored at this point, and then you are putting in your input, your messages, asking it questions, and this is the context window. So now when this information comes and gets to the brim or gets to the top, what happens is that it pushes this information, some of the information out, right? So old messages escape the bucket, and then there is new one being added to it. Claude will ask you to open a new chat so that you can come back to this just in case you want to go back, scroll up, and get that information. But this is the context window in simple terms, right? So a context window is the AI's working memory. It is the amount of information AI can actively remember and use in a single conversation. So, if you know about computers, you know about the RAM, right? The random access memory. When the computer is running, that's the kind of memory it uses. It's just like human beings, our short memory that we use to process information. We don't keep everything in there, right? So just look at it from that point of view. So ChatGPT or any kind of chatbot that has a context window. The more you talk, the fuller it gets. Think of it like a short-term memory. Your brain can hold, let's say, up to 7 things in the short term memory at once. So the more you add more stuff, the brain is going to categorize and see which one is important and then remove the ones that are not important. So for me, for instance, knowing this kind of thing about the brain, there are certain things that I don't even worry to memorize them because they are junk, because I don't want to fill my memory with unnecessary stuff. Things that I have to remember, like my wife's phone number, my daughter's phone number. important stuff. Those are the things I want to remember, not a phone number to the local post office. No, that is not information I want. Just by the way, so when it's full, ChatGPT drops the old parts of your conversation to make room for the new ones, right? That is why it forgets. And so it's not like it forgets per se, but because that information it has to access, it's not there anymore because it has escaped. The files have escaped. So that's what happens when your context window is full. So know this: every time you are typing in the chat and it gets full, it's your context window that is full. And it even gets worse, right? uh, when you are having long conversation, ChatGPT forgets everything that you discussed in the beginning, and it will start making things up. As you have to start a new chat in order to feed it with new information. Hallucination is one of the things that is really frustrating, and it can really disgrace you, by coming up with information lies. Like ChatGPT can lie. Oh my God, I haven't seen that before. Sometimes I'll be like, they can be in trouble for this kind of lies, but they always have this disclaimer that it can be wrong, and so you have to verify and make sure that you are getting the right information. And so that is the kind of disclaimer they have to protect themselves. And there's no permanent knowledge base. So it's going to go out to the database, to the web to grab information. And sometimes it's going to grab the information from some weird website. It might not be an authentic information, right? Because some of these sources, like maybe if you are doing a research work, some of these sources like PubMed and all that kind of stuff, some of them need kind of a login. It's not every website that ChatGPT or Claude has access to. And so it's going to go into any where it can get that information. And guess what? If some Tom, Dick, and Harry posted something online and he was so good with SEO so that his website is showing up with all the right keywords and all that kind of stuff, he's going to be listed in Google search engines. And guess what? Claude is going to pick it and it might not be the right information. That's why there's a lot of misinformation out there. So you have to be careful with that. You have to re upload and re explain. And then sometimes the file even has a limit. So sometimes I upload a file and ChatGPT will tell me that the file is too big and I have to reduce it, or, this is too big because the context window cannot take all that kind of information. And this makes it very exhausting, energy draining, and unreliable. So ChatGPT or Claude versus Puppy AI. Now, let me give you the honest truth about these two tools. It's great for quick questions and conversation. They are all good for that. Context window includes conversation and upload files. So this is a big difference, right? The context window would take all the files that you put in plus the conversation that you are going to have plus the responses that it's going to give you. So there are three things happening. You are feeding it with files, photos, whatever, plus questions, and it's also giving you back answers. And all this contributes to fill the context window. And when it's full, the old parts, including files, get dropped. You have to start a new file. Everything is gone. Project helps, and project will show you. Project, they are the same thing in ChatGPT. ChatGPT has something called project. Now, project will give you more space, more room, or more memory so that you can continue your conversation. One thing that is going to happen is that at some point it's still going to be overloaded, and when that happens, then you have to start again. And you can have multiple projects. The thing is that they don't communicate with each other. I don't know if they do right now, but if you have to do a cross reference, cross research, and all that kind of stuff, it's going to be a little bit difficult, right? They also, Claude, for instance, the Claude code also has something in there where it gives it some persistent memory on your local drive, but still it's kind of limited and it's not as intuitive as Puppy AI. So when we talk about Puppy AI, the files are stored permanently in separate from the context window. So the files that you have, whatever file that you have, different formats, you can have them. They don't affect the context window. So they are sitting somewhere else. They can be sitting in the cloud, on your computer, on another website, on another somebody's computer, wherever that you point it to, it's going to live there. And so it doesn't affect you. That the context window in Puppy AI is about 200K tokens, right? That's like the credit or the space that you have. It's measured in like tokens. And this is like having 10 hours of video, loading 10 hours of video into that, so you can have conversations over and over and over again. It also has a context window, but it's huge. And the good thing is that when it gets full, it's only about your conversation. It's not about your conversation plus its responses plus your files are sitting natively somewhere else. Guys, if this is driving home some good value, please give me a one in the chat, because I want to know. I've been talking for like the past 30 minutes. I want to know if this is hitting home. And the bottom line is both have context windows. Poppy uses something that we call the rack system, which we are going to talk about in a minute. And it keeps your files separate and permanent. ChatGPT competes for the same memory space. Poppy has a knowledge base which is permanent. The queries use separate contexts, and hallucinations are drastically reduced. So we talked about hallucination. They are very. It's like it's very frustrating. They're a nuisance, and they every developer's big problem. Every guy, any person who uses AI frequently, their biggest challenge is hallucination. So if you can bring hallucination to a very very low minimum, then you are good, because at least you know that your information is at least 99.9999% accurate, right? So that is that. So the RAG is the solution, and Puppy AI uses RAG. And what's the meaning of RAG? RAG is Retrieval Augmented Generation. And think of this as an AI permanent external memory. So we've been talking about the context window, which is the internal memory. Now the RAG will be like an external memory, like you having an external memory bank, right? That you plug into your computer. That information is portable with you. You can take it anywhere. It's the same principle that we are using here in AI. They call it the RAG system, Retrieval Augmented Generation. And with Claude and ChatGPT, it's limited short-term memory, which is the context window, and with Puppy AI, it's unlimited long-term memory. And how this is how Puppy AI works. First of all, you upload all your files at one time. Videos, it takes different formats of files, information. You can do audio, any kind of information, and then you ask it questions and it gives you the answers, and you don't have to do this again. You don't have to re-upload your files again. They are sitting there permanently for you to access them anytime you want. You can add more information, you can remove. There's so much you can do, and we are going to do that in a few minutes. Your files stay in the system forever. No context window limits. Even though there is, it's still not as bad as it is with ChatGPT and Claude. So, who should use Puppy AI? And this is very important to you guys, and that's why most of you are here. If you are a content creator, you can use this to repurpose your old videos and posts. I can go into my Puppy AI and pull all my YouTube videos into one folder, and then I will ask Puppy AI to come up with new ideas or new topics for me to write about. It can give me information, anything that I want to ask. I can query that and it's going to give it to me. If you are a coach or consultant, you can use this to analyze your client notes. You can use it to analyze your Zoom calls. I know that you can use all these AI tools. Remember that Puppy AI is using Claude, ChatGPT, all those other AI modules are in Claude. And so that's another good thing because you don't have to pay for all these different subscriptions because they are all in Claude for you. And I'm going to show you that. For business owners, this is very good for business owners. You can have all your business assets in one folder or in your workspace. And that is going to have every information that you have about your business. And so if somebody queries it, it's going to give you all the business information and you don't have to be digging through your file system, your database, emailing your accountant, emailing your assistant for the information because you have it right at your fingertips. It's all stored in a workspace in Puppy AI. For research, for researchers and students, very, very important. Now, if you do research, you don't want to be having some bad information, some archaic information. You don't want to be misleading people and plagiarizing people. So Puppy is going to help you to do that research. Now, I did some research and it really helped me to do that research that could take like 2 weeks. I was able to do that research under 1 hour, and this wasn't junk information. It wasn't just going online and pulling some unnecessary information, but I gave it the kind of information that I want from reliable sources, and it was able to put that into a very organized uh, presentation information for me. And also, this is good for agencies who train AI and provide AI services. I mean, the use cases and who this is good for, it's just a lot. Anybody can use this. If you are somebody who uses AI, you want to be using this because if you are doing some serious work out there, then you want to make sure that you are doing the right thing. So real use cases, you upload all your YouTube videos. Like I said, you can generate new content ideas, upload client session notes, find patterns across all clients. You can use it to study your clients, how their behavior, especially if you are a life coach like me, or if you are a therapist, or anybody, any kind of coach can use this to really assess your clients and how they are doing. You can upload your company's SOPs, standard procedures, and you can query it. So when there's a new employee, you can just go in there and query it to say that, hey, maybe give me the first week, what I'm supposed to give to this employee, works in the accounting department, give me the SOP or give me the onboarding procedure for someone working in the IT department. These things are just going to be intuitive and creative at the same time. You can upload research papers and synthesize it to find more information. You can use it to learn anything that you want. You can upload project documents and onboard team members in minutes. Now, one good thing that is really important is data privacy, and one of my audience texted me yesterday when I posted this. And if you are here, Janewa, big up to you for bringing this up. But she was worried about data privacy and this is what I'm going to tell you about data privacy. When it comes to privacy, you see all these privacy policies on websites and all that. We lost our privacy long time ago. The moment you have a cell phone and an email address, it's gone, right? But at the same time, we can do certain things to limit that. Companies will always lie to us. Oh, we don't sell your information. We don't use it. This, that. But the next minute, you fill a form. The next minute, 10 companies are calling you, right? And so when it comes to data privacy, I think that Poppy says that they use encryption and cloud storage, which everybody does. If they are hosting their service in AWS or with Microsoft or Google, they're still gonna be bounded by all the compliance and all those laws. But then I don't know where their database lives, but I believe that they have all this up to date. They are in compliance with all the state regulations, and the staff may be able to access your data if they have to support you. Like if I run into a problem, and I'm on a phone with or on a chat with an employee, they can go into my workspace and see what is going on. So if you have sensitive data over there, they can see it. So this is not best for uploading your clients' confidential information, trade secrets, financial or medical reports, anything that you don't want anybody to know. You're not going to put it out there, like social security numbers. All those things, you don't put them there, right? There is a way you can still do that, or put some fictitious something in there if you really want to mimic something. But I wouldn't advise you to put any of your sensitive data in there. It's best for non-confidential work. And this applies to ChatGPT and Claude at the same, right? Because that information you are giving them, they are going to sit in a database. And so who has access to those information? So we know that we've lost our privacy, but we still want to reduce it. We just don't want to open ourselves wide and say, come and take me, right? We want to limit the information that we give to them. So it's good for content creation. Anything that you think is for general business use, writing blogs, YouTube, content creation, all those kind of stuff. Yes, but sensitive information you don't want to be putting in there. So that is that for you. Janewa, I hope that this answers your question. Thank you very much for the support and your contribution and being here all the time. I will see you this weekend. So ready to see this in action? I hope you guys are ready to see this in action. So if you are ready and excited to see this in action, please drop a 2 in the chat so that I know that you are ready. Guys, this is going to be fun and you're going to love this. You can use this immediately. So drop some tools in there to give me some motivation to carry on. Okay? All right, so what are we going to learn today in this demo? One, we are going to upload some files and different file formats, and we are going to organize these files, and we are going to ask questions pertaining to those files that we uploaded, and then we are going to analyze videos without watching them, and we're going to combine multiple sources. We're going to have some real time, real life experience about this, and we are going to do this right away. We are not going to say that tomorrow, because that right on this channel we get our hands dirty. We walk the talk, right? We get our hands dirty, because the only way for you to learn something is to actually do it. Make mistakes, polish it, make mistakes, polish it, and move on. That's the only way you can learn. If you watch this and you go home within an hour, two, three, one day, you've forgotten. And then next week, we have a new class, and you're going to be procrastinating. And so once you learn this stuff, get your hands dirty. That is how AI, IT, anything that you can think of works. If you don't get your hands dirty, if you don't work it, you're going to forget it, and it becomes complicated and complex as the day goes by. And so before we go into this live demo, please let's support this channel. If you are here and you are watching this for your first time or you haven't subscribed yet, please hit the subscribe button. It helps us. Give us a like for this video and any video that you watch. Always do that when you watch our videos. It helps the algorithm, it helps to bring us up. And also comment. I don't see enough comments in the comment box. Please comment if you are watching and this is driving home and it's giving you value. Please comment, and also comment in the comment section. Ask questions and I read them personally and I'll answer them. And also, if you want to get Puppy AI or you want to take a test drive, you can use my affiliate link to test it out, and I'm dropping this in the chat. You can go there later on. You can open it and go there later on to check it out. Check it out. If you like it, you can get it. If not, then, but this is really good. This is something that I think everyone should get. If you are doing something serious with AI, then you need a tool like Puppy AI. So without wasting any time, let's go to what we enjoy doing, what we do best, which is our demo. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna go to the Puppy dashboard, the website. This is the dashboard. It's been used by over 10,000 creators, including me, and it has thousands of reviews. People are killing it. People are crushing it. People are using it for different things. So all these places, all these things here are different use cases and different reviews and what have you. We're not going to waste time on that because that's not why we are here. I'm just going to go and log in. But if you want to get it and try it, you have to click on that button that says, if you want to try it, once you use the link, you want to click here, Get Puppy AI, and then you go through that process where you can get, I think it's a 1 week trial. You can do that. Now, let's log in into Puppy AI, and then let's do some magic. Ready? So here you go. Not now. So this is the dashboard for Puppy AI. Let me close this. And as you can see, on the left-hand side, we have a couple of things like all boards. Boards are just like workspaces. That is a space where you can do a work, right? Work for a particular project. And so this is the same as projects in ChatGPT or Claude. You have start. You can start your favorites, right? So if you have some different boards, right? Every board is a project or a workspace, and you can favorite some of them. And there are templates. Templates are other boards that other people have created. So they are workflows. They are things that people already have in there which is working and it has been approved by Puppy AI. And so like when I have a use case or I want to do something, I can go into the templates and then see what is there, right? What if I see that there's a template that I want to use, then I can clone it and import it into my dashboard. Share with me. This is where you see things that have been shared with you. Give us, you can join the school community where you can meet other people. It works on a credit basis. So every month they give me 2,000 credit. I don't really use everything every month. There's so much credit that I have to, there's so much I have to do to burn it. Sometimes I just come in here just to blow the credits because I enjoy talking to Puppy AI. And this side is where you have some of the other settings. You can invite team members. All your settings, you can change the color, whether you want a black look and feel theme or you want a white one. You can install this as a desktop application, which makes it works faster. It's a new feature, which was the pop-up I saw, but I didn't do it. So now, with that out of the way, let's go into bots. So bots, like I said, let me see. So Hmm. What's going on with this account right now? Mm, trying to create a new bot. I want to check all my bots. All right, let's do this again and try again. Okay. Could be that puppy is having an issue. I don't know, but um, let's see. So I'm not, if it's not gonna be, then let's create a new board and see. I'm just gonna start all afresh because what I was trying to do is that I've already prepared this demo, and in order to save time so that we can just hit the ground running. But anytime you open a new board, right, you have this, so you can rename the board. So I can say demo two board. Oh, I can name it whatever I want. On this left side, you have the things that you can bring into the AI, right? So you have the guide, which is the watch, the support videos. Here, you can bring social media content. So you can pull YouTube, you can pull Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn. You click here, and then you can go to that website and put that link in there. I can go, let's say maybe I go to my YouTube channel. We go to YouTube, and let's pick any video that we see over there. We can just pick because I was trying to give you some cool report, but unfortunately, Puppy didn't open for some reason. But let's see. Let me copy this guy here. I'll copy the link. I like Messi, so I'll use Messi for this. And then I'll drop in. I can paste this directly, or I can add it to the board from here, right? So right there is transcribing, and so it's gonna know what is in there. I can also just right click and paste it right here. So there are different ways you can do that. I can come here and then get something from LinkedIn. I can go to LinkedIn and then get my profile, and um, let's see. So go to feed and see. Think, okay, so let me go to my profile and grab something from there, and then I can bring it back. So for LinkedIn, I have it there. I add it to the board, and I can delete this guy because I have a duplicate. Now, every board, every element you bring in, you can name it. So this is like Messi, YouTube. And this is where you store your own information, right? This is your database, kind of your database. You don't want it to go to the web to go grab things, but you want to give it information. And so there are different type, file formats we can put here. So here I will name it linked Eric LinkedIn linked linked. Yeah. So I like to name them because it makes it easier for the chatbot to remember. And you can always reduce this size. You can, the canvas is here. You can reduce, you can increase or reduce the size if you want. Now you can add Facebook ads. You can do Facebook ads here. You can pull Facebook ads information. So let's say you see somebody's Facebook ads and you see that this guy has been running this ad for so long. That means that that ad is good. You can click on that and pull that information. That will be another session. But you can also bring a Loom video. If somebody does a Loom video, or you find a Loom video instruction video somewhere and it's a Loom video, you can bring it here just like we did with YouTube and drop it in here. You can upload files right from your devices, from your Dropbox, from your Google Docs. So let's do that. Let's upload a file. I'm just gonna go into my documents and let's see if I'll find something. Um, Let me go to photos, maybe screenshots, and then I'll pull this here. So that is a screenshot of something I don't even know because, like I said, I couldn't access my board, and I'm scared that if I drop this, and I don't know if I have it open on my other PC, that is why it's doing that. I have no clue, but with technology, things can always go wrong without warning. And we can also add different file formats, right? Like I said, we can add audio. So I can talk. If I say audio, I can put in an audio. No, this is video. Um, and then if it's an audio which I've stored on my device, I can upload it from my device. I can pick something from Google Drive. I haven't connected it yet, but it will give me permission to connect, and I can come here and log in. It will give you access. It doesn't have automatic control into your assets, right? You have to grant it that permission to do that. And so you can add some Google Docs. Let's see, I will say I will YouTube scripts, and I will say, let's pick this one here and add it to it. And then now we have a Google Doc here as well. I will hit done, and that will be here. So I can name this Google Doc about YouTube. And let's see, I have to name this guy. It's a screenshot of OBS. And, let's say I want to add, now let's do audio, record an audio, right? Let's delete this guy. Now I want to record an audio. So it will allow while using yeah, I want to record an audio for this demo, and I want to make sure that I demo this to my YouTube audience. And so this is just a training that I'm giving them, and I hope that this is going to be some good information that they're going to use immediately after this class. So once you are done with the recording, you just hit it and you stop. It's going to transcribe this audio, right? So I can say that this is my audio. All right. I'm not gonna go on and do all that, but I just want to give you an idea of how you can upload different formats into your Puppy AI, and we can even go to a website and grab information from a website. Now, text. Now, let's say you have information on a website or a research website where that website has a password and Puppy doesn't have access to it. So let's go to let me use any website as an example. Let's say I go to one of my websites and I want this information, but Puppy for some reason doesn't have access to. Oh, this is not a website. Baykes Cloud. Yeah. So Puppy doesn't have access to this website, and so For this, I just copy this and then come here, go back to Puppy, and I will drop the website. Yeah, add the website and then add the website. That's it. I drop the website here, base cloud website. Now, you check this out. We're about to do some magic here. Now, let's go to another website and say Google Console. And let's see what we're gonna get. I just want some information that we cannot really access, but we can copy that information. So let's copy this information. Let's assume, just for the training sake, let's assume that we don't have access to this, and so we still want this information. Now, the way we can use this is to use a text, right? As you can see, a T is for text. So information that you cannot get from anywhere, you copy the text and you can put it here. So I can name this Google Console Info. So now I'm done, right? I'm done. And what I can do next is that if I have similar files, I can group them into folders and I can create this thing here and I can move all these guys into the folder, right? I'm not going to do that. Let's do this. I'm not going to put them into the folders because you're not going to see what I want. But I can create a folder and drag all of them and put them in that folder, just one bucket. So I can do that. Now we want to do what we want to do. So chat. Now, this chat feature here, let me see if I can change the color because it looks like it's too dark. I don't know if you guys can see it. But I don't see it properly. See, light mode. Yes, I think this is better, right? And so this chat feature, let me delete this and do this again. So this is the chat feature. This is your chatbot that you are going to use. So this is going to be like your Claude, your ChatGPT chatbot, right? This is where you are going to work. So this is your chatbot. You bring it here, and let me reduce this, and then I'll bring it here. Now, this is a small screen, and so pardon me, it's not right. So now we have all this information. What are we going to do with this information, right? What are we going to do? We are going to do something with this information. That's the whole point. Now, this is the folder that I downloaded. I added, but we're not going to use it. But we can drop all these guys into the folder. That will become one repo. But that is if you have related information in there, it makes it clean. You can use it to clean, right? Keep your workspace clean. So here, this is what I want to do. Everything that I have here, I'm going to connect it to the chatbot. So I will hold this guy and then drop it here. And then I'm going to ask it a question. And so let's start seeing what is going to happen. And I can use my mic. I can say that, hello, hello. Can you see the file I just attached to you? Just this is an audio. Can you give me a transcription of this audio, please? And then I can just hit enter. It's just going to be just like me, writing a prompt. And this is fast for me because it makes things faster. Now you can see, boom, within seconds, right? Yeah, I want to record an audio for this demo, and I want to make sure that this demo to my YouTube audience. And so this is just a training I'm giving them, and I hope this is gonna be some good information that they are gonna use immediately after this class. You see that? Boom, that was crazy. So one hacking trick, right? One hack is that if you connect so many items to the chatbot, it consumes more credit. And so I learned that the hard way. So now this has my information. So all that I'm going to say is that please keep this intel. We are going to use it in future. And so make sure that you keep it intact and you will be able to recall it the next time I ask you a question about it. And then boom, I hit it. And it's gonna tell me that let me go to widescreen and it's thinking. Now it's gonna tell me, yeah, got it. I have noted the audio transcription. I will keep it in mind for future reference. And then it tells you like I can minimize and then I can join all these guys. Now for the sake of this training, what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna do something that I don't normally do. I have a lot of credit. We are almost at the middle of the month, so I'm gonna connect this guy, and then I'm gonna connect this guy. And usually, what I would say is that, can you see? I copy this, and then I will paste it here. But let's do this so that we can move faster. I've done the audio already, so I will pull this guy. And then I'll pull this guy, and then I'll pull Messi as well. Let me pull Messi, and then I'll pull this guy. Now, usually I'm not supposed to do this, but like I said, for the sake of this training, I want to save time because we are on top of the hour already. So I can ask it, can you see, can you see everything I just attached to you? And then let's see what it's gonna say in full screen. So yeah, everything that I've loaded, knowledge-based content, YouTube, LinkedIn sign up page, Eric Baykes LinkedIn pro page, Baykes Cloud website, Messi. So it has all this intel, and then it will ask me, what do I want to use this information for? I say, keep it in your intel. I always tell it that keep it in your intel for future use. All right. And so it's going to keep it. And then maybe another thing I want to access is that, I had like very good questions. I was going to ask this puppy AI, but, it's unfortunate that the thing wouldn't open. But these are some of the questions that I was going to ask, based on the information, on the research I uploaded. What's the biggest AI opportunity right now? Most businesses are missing. So this is a strategic business opportunity. And this is not the questions that we are going to ask. This is what I was going to ask if I had access to my all my bots, because I have a demo which I've already prepared for this demo. Investment decision, right? If I had 50,000 to invest in AI tools for my business today, what would you recommend and why? Market intelligence, which is the question 3. Which industries are moving fastest on AI adoption and which are falling behind? Give me specific examples. Validate with data. Show me specific data points that support your recommendation about AI tools. Where did this information come from? And this is where it's going to cite you where you got it from. And, practical applications based on this research. What's the number one mistake most businesses make when implementing AI? And how do I avoid it? Question 6, for example, is about comparing different perspectives. Like compare these two perspectives, and then I will give it a topic. Which side gets the right, and what are they missing? Right? Business decision based on the market, go to market strategy, and like a bonus pro tip that I was gonna give is that we're gonna do that with this regardless anyway. So let's go. Let's go with that. So perfect. Now we can say that Based on this information, based on this information, based on this information, tell me what we can do. Right? I don't know what we can do. And sometimes it's good that this happened. It's good that I wasn't able to show you what I've already built to show you, right? This is good because now we have clustered information. I have Messi in there. I have my LinkedIn. I have some screenshot of some tutorial that I got from somewhere. I have Google Search Console. So I think this is a good example. So let's see what it's going to come up with based on the information. I mean, if I ask you right now, what do you think we can get from this information? Would you be able to tell me? No, but this is going to come up with something. And if we don't like it, we can ask it to change it, right? So based on the intel that we've provided, here we can accomplish one. We can content creation for YouTube strategy, complete your demo training, finish recording, get off. Okay, blah 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 blah. Business consulting. No, okay. So it didn't understand the question. So how can I use how can I use this information to uh, gain insights of let me think. How can I use this information um, to gain insights into everything that I gave you? So like I said, we just coming up with all these questions because we want to see what Papi can do. So, business intelligence insights, your business model. You are an AI consultant with deep expertise in client management. You have a systematic approach. The client load document shows sophisticated business thinking. You are building authority. You have technical skills, content strategy, insights. You understand psychology, solve real problem. Okay, so because I have my LinkedIn profile in there, it's considering me as a subject and using this to give me that information. So let's see. So what do you think about Messi YouTube video uh, in reference to my LinkedIn profile, right? So I'm just asking silly questions here, and you can ask proper questions when you are doing, So it's talking about, what is it saying? Messi video shows sports, entertainment, content consumption, possibly testing video analysis, interest in high performance content. Messi is peak performance. Your LinkedIn profile suggests AI consulting professional focus, business technology expertise, blah, blah, blah. Strategic insight, performance analogy. Use Messi's peak performance mindset in your AI consulting content. Championship mentality. Messi is a champion, right? Apply sports psychology to business consulting. Team dynamic. Messi plus team success. It's consultant plant client success frameworks. Content ideas, what Messi teaches us about AI consulting excellence. Guys, I never thought about this. This is amazing. Messi's method, right? Peak performance for consultant. We can go on and on and on and on and on, but let's use this pro tips that I want to give you. And so first of all, I wanted to give me like an executive summary of this. So I'm going to post this over here. And I say, give me a 5-slide executive summary with colorful visual data. So I'm going to hit on that one. And I'm also going to hit on another one thing. And one thing that I forgot to show you, no, I mean, I didn't forget, but I was going to show you with this. But It's generating the slides just like we used Gamma AI last week. It has something similar that it can use. And so, executive summary, for this business overview, AI consulting profile, target 3 to high value clients, business revenue 8K per client versus 3K volume, blah, blah, all this stuff, right? Now, over here, this is what I was telling you about earlier. You don't need to have all these different AI tools because you are going to find them here. Like the latest version is the Claude 4.6 Sonnet. You also have Nano Banana now. Last week, Nano Banana, Google released their second edition of the Nano Banana, which is a new one. So if we want to create an image, we can use Nano Banana. If you want to use ChatGPT, the latest is 5.4, right? So we can use all these modules. You can also use Deep Think. You can search create images. So now let's say we want to create an image, right? All that we want to say is that create um, generate. We'll say generate a book cover, generate a book ebook cover for this report. So let's assume that we are creating an ebook or a document or ebook to share, right? We want to create an image with Nano Banana. So Nano Banana is going to kick in and do its job. There is another thing that we can do, which is the pro tip, which is generating a mind map, which makes things very easy for you to have a visual understanding of that thing. So I'm going to minimize this so that I can show you that. And that is it right here. That is the mind map, right? So we can hit the mind map and then we can put in the topic. But I would say that let's do this. You give it a prompt, and then I will hit. So let me, yeah, okay. So let me put in here and then tell it to generate a mind map for this. So now we have to be here, generate mind map for this information. Um, yeah, and let's see what is happening here, right? So first of all, um, okay, it provided the ebook cover I asked it to create. It has done that. And you can see this is like the full screen. You can see AI Consulting Intelligent Report, Executive Summary, Client Strategy, Content, and Growth. How cool is this, guys? How cool is this? I just asked it to give me like an ebook cover, right? Based on the information that we put in, and this is what I got. This is so cool. It's time saving. And let's see the other report. It's still generating that image, mind map for this. Um, let's see here. For the intel that you have, let's see. Okay, this is trying to, I'm not doing it for manual. I'm not doing it manually. I'm doing it now. So here, let me go. Okay. All right. So let me check what is completed. You know how image creation takes, right? It takes a long time to generate it. But they So here is the mind map thing here. So here, if you do it here, you do it manually. You know, you can create a landing page with this. You can do a PowerPoint presentation with this. You can create a video sales page with this. There's so much you can do, right? So let's create a mind map and let's hit that. And that is it. It's also going to generate a mind map for this to give you a visual representation of how things look like. It's going to take some time to finish, but guys, you can see how powerful um, Cloud Puppy AI is, right? There's so much you can do with this. All your data is native. You can keep them here, or you can keep them in your Google Drive, and it's gonna see is like look at the mind map. It's created a mind map here. Double click and you can see how good it looks like, right? It breaks this thing down for you. So we start with Eric Baykes Consulting Intelligence, and then it kind of break it down: performance, inspiration, Messi, Inter Miami, business analytics, and then it goes up to elite performance mindset, 4 win versus Nashville. It grabs everything: team synergy, Messi and Suarez, never miss an opportunity, championship mentality, peak performance equals to premium. Now let's come up here: growth opportunities, right? This is a like premium coaching, online so this, how you can use this is that you have so much information, you don't know what to use it for. You can give it a prompt and say, can you build a mind map around coming up with a coaching program, or onboarding? How can I onboard my client into my program? All this stuff is going to give you a mind map. We have Big's Cloud website. We do SEO optimization, contact indexing, performance improvement, Google Search Console, the information we got from Google Search Console, that is the traffic analysis, core web vitals, rich results optimization, guys, site map submission, right? These are the information, the OBS, the image, the screenshot that I uploaded, right? It's a plugin upload error, which I was sending it to tech support to see the screenshot of the error I was getting, right? Program not responding, chat not responding, fix screaming setup, right? This is content creation, and then it talks about the YouTube strategy, audio demo, content repurposing. It can go on and on. The LinkedIn, my professional profile, professional networking, brand authority, B2B audience, thought leadership. Guys, you cannot get this in regular, you can get it in ChatGPT. You're going to do a lot of work. And by the time you get to this point, you might fill up your contest window. And so Claude AI is your tool that is going to give you a lot of leverage, makes your workflow simpler and faster, because you don't have to keep on uploading information every now and then. You upload once, you use it all the time, right? And it's always here, it's safe. If you don't want it to go to the web, it's not going to go. You can give it information instructions by using another text, right? And say that do not go, do not go to the web to search for information. And then you can give that intel, you can give it that intel so that it knows that it has to stay within the confines of this workspace to get your information. But guys, look at how what we've done so far with this, the kind of information that we've got. As it's giving you an output, it's also giving you stuff in here that you can copy and save. So this is so much valuable. This tool is a tool that everybody must get. And so let's go back to our slides, and I hope this was really valuable to you. And if this was really good to you, guys, Please drop me some threes. Drop me some threes. Let's go. We have 5 more minutes to go, and we can wrap this thing up. And so let's move on. Now, just to recap what we've covered today, we covered ChatGPT or Claude. We know that it forgets due to a small context window, how Puppy AI creates permanent memory, which is the rag. That's what we just did. You can add more files, you can take out, and you can get everything. ChatGPT has projects. Puppy also has project. I mean, it has the rag, and we did the honest comparison. We also talked about the real use cases for businesses, for students, for content creators, for coaches and all that. And we did a live demo based on the knowledge base, based on the database that we just created, and the time that we saved if we were going to do all that. The demo that I plan to show you was about 10 plus articles, which would have taken us 5 to 8 hours to analyze. It would take us 2 hours to take the notes. There was a presentation, a YouTube presentation about coding, about AI coding. That was just 2 hours to listen, analyze patterns, right? That would take you 3 hours. Right inside, that would take you 2 hours. And this is when you are using ChatGPT or Claude. That is a 12 to 15 hours that we saved using Puppy AI. And so Puppy, what does it do? It stores your research permanently, so no re-uploading. It synthesizes the insights across multiple sources. We put data from different parts, and it kind of, synthesize the whole thing. Strategic questions. I mean, it answers strategic questions based on your data, and it also cites by giving references to where it got the information from. Now I can see ChatGPT Claude doing the same thing, but this reduces hallucination and it saves you time. We talked about who this is for and the use cases and all that. So the bottom line is this isn't just a tool, it's a competitive advantage. It helps you to move 10 times faster than usual, even when you are using AI. The businesses using AI like this are the ones making better decisions faster. The ones not using it are falling behind. Right now, it's not even about AI, but what kind of AI tool are you using? That is the question now. And so AI has become the baseline, but what kind of AI are you using? What kind of workflow are you using? That is where we are moving now. So if you have any questions, please drop them in the comment section under the video, and I'm going to answer them myself. And you have to take action now. As I keep on saying, you always have to take action now. Now I have a barcode here. You can scan this barcode. There's a fun quiz that you can take. It's only 5 questions, 6 questions. It takes only about 30 seconds to fill, which gives you an assessment of how AI ready you are, right? So if you are somebody who is trying to leverage AI, it tells you where you are in the process or on the scale that we have. And so subscribe to the channel. Once again, this is very important to me, guys. We put so much work into this, and so please, if you are not a subscriber, please do the right thing and subscribe now with immediate effect. Like this video, like other videos that you've been watching on this channel. Please share with your network, because a business owner, this is going to be useful to a business owner. This is going to be useful to a student, a research. People doing their PhDs need this kind of tool. Comment, share, and try Puppy AI. The link, I'm going to drop the link again just in case you missed the link. I'm going to drop it again in the chat. And let's see here. And you can take a test drive and see how it works. And you start with one project and you play around with it. They have a very good onboarding team that will hold your hand and do what I did with you and show you even more and show you some coolest stuff that you can do. I don't have enough time to really play with this tool, but this is a tool that I really want to squeeze out all the juice out of, right? So ask strategic questions, see how it changes your workflow, and let me know in the feedback session, what this tool is doing for you. And so you can grab your phone and scan this barcode and go through the and see how ready you are, and you're gonna get some message. And also I have this AI Freedom Accelerator program, which really helps tech professionals just like me who were burnout in the corporate world and needed to start their own business in AI, in freelancing, in consulting. This is really going to give you the exit strategy, whilst you are still working, what you have to do, the kind of tools you have to research, the strategy that you are going to take and move from being an employee to become your own business owner. This is not for everyone, but if you have that call to run your own business, if you want that freedom to be your own boss, if you know that AI is going to take your job, right, then this is for you. Take this course and see how you are, on the scale of 1 to 10. And this is going to give you the exit strategy, what you have to do, where you have to go based on your background. Because you don't just have to get into AI because AI is trending and everybody is doing AI. But you have to leverage AI specifically for what you are doing, unless, of course, you want to branch out or you want to leave. So, if you're a project manager, if you are a web developer, if you are a software developer, if you are a DevOps engineer, if you are cybersecurity officer, cybersecurity analyst, there's AI for everything. There's AI for everything. And if you don't take that action and become AI literate before you know, you're going to be out. You're not going to be competitive. And so thank you again. Click on the website. Yeah, let me drop the website link in the chat, and you can go there and check it out and see what is there for you to know. And once again, we are on top. It's 12:30 now. I knew that I was going to use exactly 1 hour 30 minutes, and so thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for staying till the end. And once again, I appreciate your support. I appreciate everything, your contribution, your comments, your prayers, everything. I will see you next week in the next one. And it's going to be the same time, Wednesday, 11 a.m. EST and 3 p.m. GMT. On that note, thank you. Namaste. To be continued.